I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
Yo, what's up, fellas?
How you guys doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Oh, all good.
Yeah,
Just
we
got
got
let the dog out, and we're ready to have a little bro chat.
little bro chat. Well, welcome back, guys. We got episode 4 today with a very special guest. If you guys don't know, you've probably been living under a rock, but we got the Garage Gym homie, aka R11, on the pod today. What's up, brother?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. Blessed to be here. Blessed to be here with you fine folks.
Bro, your story, like you and I, you're probably one of my oldest friends. I mean, we've known each other since we were like what, maybe like teenagers, like 12 years old, 13 years old. And what I've seen you do in your lifetime is so special that like I know your story. Justin doesn't know your story at all. So I told him before this episode today, I was like, don't Google him, don't research him. All I did was send him your Instagram. And I was like, your mind is about to be blown when Ari tells you what he's about to tell you. So yeah, I'm excited for this one today.
Nah, I appreciate it, man. I very much appreciate it. I'm glad to come out of it on the right side of things. And I'm glad to be able to talk about it.
It's even just you were in Puerto Rico. And I mean, like Ari's got a YouTube channel. He does a podcast as well. He's always on Instagram. And I saw his posts on Facebook, I think it was, and he was saying people were coming up to him all over the streets of Puerto Rico. I'm like, you're that YouTube guy, watch your shit. But it was not like they were like starstruck in celebrity status. They were starstruck because of the impact you've had on these people's lives. And like, so I'm really excited for you to share your story today. But
well, I was starstruck. I was like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
It was like, I was the one starstruck because I was tripping out, man. Like I was with my fiance walking down the street in San Juan last 2 weeks ago, and like this guy just like popped up, and I thought he was screwing with me. And he's like, he's like, I follow all your workouts. And I was like, come on, man. Because sometimes when you have like some muscle or something, people will like screw with you. Like I was at the hotel and the guy was like, the gym's that way, screwing with me. So I thought this guy was like just talking junk. But then he's like, I go with all the pre-workouts you recommend and stuff. Yeah. So I realized he was legit. And I was like tripping out. I was like, this is freaking crazy. This guy really knows me from you. Because I have a small channel, it's not.
You're growing. You're growing, brother.
I am, but it's not like I'm super humbled that anyone would know me. I mean, in public, like that's mind blowing to me. And then the next day, the same freaking thing happened. The guy's like, you're a YouTuber. I was just watching your Gorilla Mode pre-workout review. Can I get a picture with you? I was so like, dope. Dude, it was like such a special, like surreal feeling. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah.
That's so dope. Wait, before we get into your story, real quick, tell me you guys saw Sam Sulek win his pro card today.
I did. I saw the yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit. Two show pro, self-coached. His look from show 1 to show 2 in just 2 weeks' time, unbelievable. I mean, the guy who I think took second in his class looked incredible as well. Sam obviously had him on size. Maybe that guy had conditioning, but seeing that today, dude, what Sam Sulek has done for bodybuilding in the last 2 weeks alone, I mean, I can't even imagine how many kids want to compete and do classic physique now. It's crazy.
Well, let me ask you this, like genuine question, because I've never competed. I'm not in that world.
I tell you all the time, Justin, when you see, I'll do a screen share in a little bit and I'll pull up some photos of Ari's physique. Like for this dude to look the way he does and not get on stage, it blows my mind because
I appreciate it. No, but seriously, here's my question for you guys who compete. A guy like Sam Sulek, who's got such a big name.
Yeah.
The fact that he's winning, he's won this, and then 2 weeks ago he won a competition or something. Is there politics involved that like people want to see him win so they make it happen, or is it legitimate? Like I know there's a lot of politics behind those shows and stuff. Like,
Justin, you're a pro. I'll let you talk on this. I'm still the amateur in the room, so
there are politics.
Right.
There are politics. Having a large following, and presence like that, it doesn't hurt you by any means. I'm not gonna say that like he won on that, and this is definitely not to discredit Sam. He looks good. I'm not saying he won because of this. However, having a big following and a big name going into a show can help you. So, for instance, and again, I'm gonna bring up Martin Fitzwater. Martin Fitzwater, I think he deserved fourth place. I think his physique deserved that. However, he had a huge following going in, so everybody was expecting to see him and waiting for him. And he was put on a pedestal, and he could have, he could have flopped, and then everybody would have been like, oh, it's a bust. And Sam Sulek could have done the same because there was so much pressure on him. However, when you're in a bodybuilding competition and say there's 20 people and everybody is looking at one person, and then you do nail it, it helps you. So
Right.
you have to show up on stage. You can't just ride the followers.
Right.
But in shows that are big, and like we went to the Olympia this year, and Classic Physique had 50 or 60 guys competing.
Deep.
After the first like 10 or 15, nobody's getting that good of a look, really. Like they don't have time to. So, when you're yours, when you're Ramon, when you're Chris Bumstead, when you're those top guys, everybody's looking at you. But if you're no name so-and-so, it's your first show, first Olympia, whatever, unless you have a million followers, like you're not going to get a look. So there are politics. Having a big following, a big YouTube, a big presence helps get eyes on you. But once the eyes are on you, you have to deliver as well.
So my question, so let's say a guy like Sam Sulek, let's say he looks awesome, and there's a guy who looks a smidget better or the same, a smidget better. Will Sam win potentially because of the expectations? Maybe will that sway a judge?
It might. I'm not going to say for sure.
This is why I never compete.
Here's
the human element.
Yeah, it's a subjective sport.
It is
subjective.
Here's what I would say is that obviously you have to obviously have a certain package to quote be in the top of any class and be winning shows, right? So his first look, again, self-coached, great. That was 2 weeks ago. But even the improvements he made, he clearly is coachable and listening to what the internet was saying because he pulled his trunks up and they looked great today. His legs from the bottom half down, super conditioned, posing was flawless. Tan looked great. Greg Doucette loved that. But the point I'm getting at is like one of my clients texted me and he goes, Sam proved a lot of people wrong today. I said, it was never about that. I go, more importantly, he proved himself right. And that's what this is all about, where like for him to always have the belief in himself and to do that as a 2-show pro now, dude, I think he, with the right coach moving forward, which he will have to get a coach to compete as a pro. We know that he could be the future of classic physique if he does it right. And he already has the following. Like people are saying he's the next Chris Bumstead. I don't think from an aesthetic standpoint and, 6 Olympia titles, no. But I think what they're referring to is the impact he's had on the sport. And it's so good for it right now. It's so good.
Well, he's a likable guy and he's got a nice,
very humble.
He's got a nice thing. He's got a nice personality that he faces, and he's kind of done his own thing with the vlogging and just kind of raw talk and all that. I think people resonate with it. It seems like so. Yeah,
I'm happy for him, and I think it's great for the sport. So now, I mean, again, hey Justin, just like we were talking about with Taylor last week, now you guys got that pro card. You got to play with the big boys, so it's a whole different level now. And what he just did was very impressive. But I can't wait to see him on stage for a pro debut. Are you kidding me? He's going to be, I would imagine, 10 times better than what we just saw today. So props to him. Shout out, Sam.
He did make a lot of improvements from his first show. So I want to give him credit for that. Like you said, the legs didn't seem to be there in the first show.
And today they were insane.
Yeah, I think he was conditioned enough. Maybe it was just posing or something in the first show. But definitely a big improvement with his legs. Overall conditioning looked very good at this show. I haven't seen any comparison pictures. I've only seen individual routine of him. I haven't seen anybody.
I'll send you the guy who I think got second to him. And I knew going into the show, this was going to be like the guy who would give him a run for his money. Because again, when you're in, I think, Class C and you're relative to 216, 220, I mean, there's going to be some really big, dense guys with some good size, structure, shape, and all that on stage. So, there was a guy who definitely, he had the conditioning, but there were certain shots. Sam had the size, and Sam just looked, I mean, today was his day. So props to him. Congrats.
All right. Congrats, Mr. Solek. Congrats.
All right, enough of that shit. All right, let's dive into the real meat and potatoes this episode. So, Ari, I'm gonna kind of just give you the floor, let you share whatever you want to share. Justin, I'll kind of just like interject with questions here and there, but I know your story. I love it. It's you motivate me so much that getting you on this podcast to share your story and reach the people in my network, Justin's network, I know it's going to impact so many people. So take it away, bro.
Oh, okay. I could just tell my story. I didn't know if
Just
you.
tell you, yeah, bro. You got it's all you today.
Okay, okay. Well, my story is, when I was, look, man, when I was a young kid, where would I start? I started as a little kid, man. There was always something different about me, the way that my head worked, and I was always getting in trouble, man. As a little kid, always getting in trouble,
Yep.
and
Ari, when we all say we had that friend growing up who would always get in trouble for everything, that was Ari. Ari was always the kid getting kicked out of school. Like you have so many trials and tribulations you've been through. You were just that kid to all of us that were your friends growing up, like it was
yeah, well,
Ari's in trouble again.
like you and me, man. Like I don't like I remember like at least when I was getting high, like I don't think you liked me much for good reason.
We had our differences for a little bit, and I want to say probably
Yeah.
Brent helped bridge that gap because he's like, listen, Ari's a good dude, and you grew up so much
No,
that
but I
obviously
wasn't,
now
dude. I was a little jerk, and
no, I'm saying people are very capable of change, and the man you've become, bro, like I tell you all the time,
it's
you
different
inspire
now.
and motivate me. So it's crazy because again, I do think people can change their life.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So I was basically always getting in trouble, man, and they always tried to categorize me as different issues, ADD, what do you oppositional defiance disorder, all that. But man, I was an addict, even from like a young age before they could say I was an addict because I hadn't picked up drugs or alcohol yet. So they didn't know what to do with me. I saw therapists, psychiatrists. They threw me on all these ADD medications from second grade. It was just terrible, man. And, like at age 14, I went to a Halloween party and I smoked weed for the first time. And I remember being out there with a lot of people, and I remember getting high, man, the first time. And no, I didn't get high. I pretended I was high because
It was the cool thing to do.
well, yeah, because I felt like I belonged, like I felt like I fit in. I felt like I was part of something.
Why a lot
And
of people have substance abuse issues because they're searching for something in the wrong place.
right. So I pretended I was high and it felt like all the fear like disappeared. Like I had fear, like I felt always in school like everybody knew exactly what was going on but me. Everyone knew when they were growing up what they wanted to do except me. Like I always felt like out of place, like uncomfortable in my skin.
Yeah.
And when I found weed that first night, it felt like I finally like had an identity. Like I was part of, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember, dude, like I took me like 5 times before I even got high, but like the part of it, and I took off like I went from 0 to 100, dude. Like within the week of smoking weed, I'm selling weed. I'm like I'm all in. Like this is
If
my
Ari does anything, it's 100%. Like this dude doesn't half-ass anything.
yeah, that's just how it was. And I was hanging out with people who, had older brothers and stuff. So I was able to get weed easy in high school. It was whatever. So I just became super obsessed, dude, with like mind altering substances. Like I remember sneaking in my dad's room when I was like 15, when he would go out for dinner or whatever, and he's not an addict. I'd take his medications and I would run back in my room, and there was a website, arrowhead.com, and you could look up every little pharmaceutical and people's experience. And I was like obsessed with it. Like I was just obsessed with I'm seeking out mushrooms and this and that. And opiates and, oxycodone and this. He's got all this stuff he didn't touch, and he didn't have mushrooms. I just became like infatuated, finding things, and the point is, man, like I just was like all in, and I'm a guy, man, who it took me 4 high schools to graduate. I left North Farmington High, and then I went to my parents sent me to a boarding school in Arizona. I got kicked out of there a year later for drug use and hooking up with girls. And then I went back to Harrison High School, and I just kept selling dope. And then they sent me to this lockdown school in Texas. Like I woke up in 11th grade at 4:20 in the morning with these 2 escorts by my bed that my dad fired.
You're coming with us.
You're coming with us.
You're coming with us. You can't say no.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way. And they took me to a school in Houston, Texas, where I wore an orange jumpsuit. And I was there for 18 months, and the school is now shut down for abusing kids. And it was freaking like an alternate world, dude. It was absolutely just a mind-blowing place. I couldn't even describe it in this episode because it's just was so wild. What
I
was
can't
there.
imagine.
Yeah, in the middle, they put you in an orange jumpsuit that says "Runaway, call 911," and you're like in the middle of the freaking woods in Houston, Texas, and not in the city of Houston, out there in the boonies, in Conroe, Texas, and or near Huntsville, and I just remember, man, like I that place was a blessing because A, I met some lifelong friends, and B, I graduated high school, and I don't think I would have gotten a diploma if it weren't for that place. So I am grateful for every experience that I've had, every single one. And look, man, to just tell you the story, and then so I can move on to the positive stuff.
Well, but you know what? It takes a lot of bad shit to get to the good shit in life sometimes, right? And it's some of these setbacks that made you who you are today. And that's why you're so unique and your story is so inspirational, because you clearly did have these low lows all throughout your teenage years, your adolescence, where then you were able to make that shift, which obviously that is the positive part that we'll get to later on in the story.
So, yeah. So I got home from Houston, and I didn't stay sober long, maybe 3 months. I remember I got a call. I was going to NA meetings, AA meetings. I got a call, and the call was your mom was diagnosed with brain cancer. I got the call, and I used it as an excuse, and I was like, F it. And I went to an NA meeting, and I found someone there, and I got high for the first time in like a few years, because I was at the boarding school and then stayed sober. And I was just off to the races, dude. So like, I'm describing this person I was who like I can't do drugs without selling drugs, because it's my whole, and I can't sell drugs without getting caught selling drugs, So now like I start getting arrested, So at 18, I've been arrested one time. By 19, I've been arrested 3 times, and I'm on probation. By 20, I've been arrested 6 times, and I was off. I got off 2 of my probation. I was on like 4 probations at once, and these were.
Wait! You were on probation 4 times at the same time?
I was on probation. I was on 2 probations.
I think that's a record.
It would, trust me, it gets worse. I was on probation in Farmington Hills. I had felonies in Livingston County and in Howell. I had
Michigan's most wanted.
Yeah, it was just it was a lot of stupid stuff. It was DUIs. It was I had to wear the ankle monitor, the alcohol tether. I mean, not the ankle monitor, the alcohol tether, where you had to plug it in. I would go to Oakland County Jail here and there for 90 days and 10 days and 3 days and this and that. And I was just like, I had a lawyer who, great lawyer out here. I mean, really the best that I could ask for. And he would keep letting them send me to treatment centers. The judges, he would let me send them to treatments. He would have them send me to treatment in lieu of jail. And finally, dude, there was a new law in Michigan at the time, and the law stated that if you have misdemeanors, you can go to county jail for up to a year. After that, you're talking about felonies, and you're eligible for state prison time. And there was a new law in Michigan that if you had 2 misdemeanors in one court, the judge had the ability. This doesn't go on anymore. The Judge Brady, who we went to school with his daughter, had the ability to send you to jail for not only 1 year, you could go to county jail for up to 2 years consecutively for a charge. So I went in front of him. I had 36 violations of probation. Okay. But that doesn't mean I was in front of him 36 times.
No, but yeah, 36 violations.
Back on 6 at a time, not failing to go to AA meetings, failing to get a sponsor, failing a drug test, a bunch of little petty.
Not doing what you were supposed to be doing.
Exactly. So I keep going in front of him. So finally, Judge Brady said to my lawyer, he said, "Your client's now making us look stupid. We keep letting him go, and he keeps making us look stupid. We've done it all."
You're a repeat offender.
What?
That's it. Yeah, he's looking at you. He's like, I keep seeing this guy. He's a repeat offender.
Right. So this new law is in effect now. He said, "I'm letting your client walk out of here today to go back to the treatment center." He said, "I'm putting it in writing today. If he has one more violation, he's not only doing the 1 year in county for this charge, he's doing 2 years in county."
Mm-hmm.
So I walked out of there. I felt like I was winning. And within a week, I was at a treatment center in Ann Arbor called Dawn Farm. Okay. And within a week, I violated. And I'm going to tell you what I did. It was so stupid. I took a cab from Ann Arbor to Detroit to cop dope. And I ditched the cab driver like a jerk. I jumped out of his cab. I told him I'm going to get the money to pay him, and I ditched him. The cab driver was smart enough to call around the area where he picked me up, got in touch with the sober living home, and told the sober living home house manager that I ditched his cab, and it got back to my probation officer.
That's great. That's a crazy story. I don't think I've ever heard you tell me that one.
So the probation officer calls me. It was a Thursday night. She said, "You have a probation violation Tuesday. I expect you in court." I called my lawyer. This was a week after they let me go. So I have to do 2 years in county jail now. And my family woke up. I was going to go to jail for 2 years. We went to court Tuesday morning. My family went. My lawyer was there. And I woke up that morning and I said, "There's no way I'm going to jail today." And I had a friend drop me off at the Greyhound station, and I left Michigan and took off. And
now we're on the run.
And I went on the run, man, for close to 8 years. And so I left.
Yeah. Hold on, pause. I've seen Justin's reactions as you're telling this story, and Justin's quiet because he's sitting back and he's enjoying all of this, because this is like, all right, your story, it only continues to get crazier and crazier, but the way it ends and where you are now, keep going, man. I love this story.
So I went to Texas for a couple of months, and then I ended up getting on a Greyhound and going to Los Angeles. I wouldn't fly anywhere because I had the warrants now in Michigan, right. So I couldn't fly anywhere. So I get off the Greyhound in Los Angeles. I only know one person out there from Huntington Woods, and I felt like, you know what, I could do anything I want here. It's LA. I'll never get in trouble out here. I'll just, ball out of control and do whatever I do. Dope money, this, that. And I'll send it back to the judges at home and squash the case from here. And I had no clue I'd be out there for 7-8 years.
Yeah.
I had no clue. So I made it there about 10 days before my first arrest. And I was at a dope house, and they kicked in the door. and they were monitoring this guy's house who I crashed at, and I ended up in LA County Jail fighting a case for 6 months, and they let me out on felony probation. Finally, I took a deal. Instead of going to prison, I got felony probation. So now I'm stuck in LA on probation. So the point of the story, man, is that my disease of addiction and alcoholism took me to 20 different arrests. I've been to county jail in 3 states, and I've been to 2 different state prisons in California. I ended up going to the penitentiary out there, and I lived what I thought was good. And by that time, I was already a full blown, when I got to LA for years now, since 18, an IV heroin and crystal meth user. And I was sick, man. I was shooting heroin for years from age 18, 19. I started shooting heroin, and then all the way to 27 when I got sober. I was shooting heroin and crystal meth. And I dated one of the most famous porn stars in the world for 2 years out there in LA. And she introduced me to crystal meth and the porn industry. And, I spent my time out there just selling dope and pimping women and just acting like a freaking a-hole, dude. It's like just out of control, completely out of control. And I thought I was living good, like with fast money, living in, had my own apartments in Santa Monica. I was doing well, and I got to the point where I lived so bad that sleeping on the streets in Koreatown for my last 2 years out there. I was really just trying to survive, homeless, picking pennies out of a fountain to get ramen noodle. Just absolutely just terrible. I was in and out of hospitals a lot. I'd get staph infections from shooting up, MRSA, and kept going to jail and detoxing off heroin, and just absolutely terrible, dude. Like, I'd sneak into hotels in the morning and pretend I was a guest on the phone, and get free continental breakfast every morning, walk out and pack up for the day, and just insane adventures, man, for 8 years out there in California. Like, just a heck of a world out there, man. And it got to the point, man, where I finally went to jail and I had nothing left. The rehab I was at wouldn't let me back in. I literally had nothing left out there except to die. Just nothing, dude. Like, my brother came out there to visit me. He thought I was in a rehab. I ended up in jail, and he got out there, flew out there. The day they let me out of jail, I got sentenced to 6 months in LA County Jail after all this, and they let me out in 18 days because it's so busy in LA County Jail. And on that 18th day is the day he landed out there to visit me. Just happened to be like the stars aligned, man. And he picked me up from jail, and it tried to take me to the rehab I was at. That kicked me out. And then I went to jail, and the rehab wouldn't take me. I had staph infections. I was still detoxing after that 18 days, pretty much. It was still, it was 12 days, and I was still detoxing. 12 days on 180, I got out. And he called my dad, and he said, it's time to bring Ari home. I had nothing left out there. And my dad agreed after all those years to let me back. And I knew in the deepest place in my heart, dude, like, I've tried to get sober a lot, but I knew in my heart that I was done for good. Yeah. I knew it. I knew I had nothing left for me except to die. And I had already died. I had flatlined, overdosed, and stuff like that in hospitals. But I know an addict like me needs 2 things to get sober. They need to be ready to be done for good, not that one day at a time nonsense, for good. Like there's a lot of sayings in it, one day at a time, da da da. You have to be ready to be done for good. No, when you say one day at a time, your head is basically leaving a back door open to say, well, today I'll stay sober, but tomorrow maybe I'll get high. You know, you can't give this thing any angle to destroy you because this thing is so noisy.
Addiction's so hard, man.
It'll kill you. So you got to be done for good. I'm never going back. And then you got to be willing to do whatever it takes. You have to be willing to do anything it takes to get sober. And something happened in my life, man, where I was ready to be done for good, and I was willing to do whatever it takes. And I look back and I know what that was now. I mean, it was the power of God. And like he had been there the whole time, man. Like I was in a racial riot in LA County jail where I thought I was going to die. Like I made it through prison. I made it through addiction. I made it through all that, the streets of LA, the penitentiary. And I look back and I know that power that brought me through that whole way up to this moment, I know what it was. And, you know, so I came back from LA on a Greyhound because I still had warrants in Michigan after all.
Couldn't fly back.
Couldn't fly back, or at least.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You had warrants in Michigan, and then you went to California. So you got arrested all those times in California, and they never like looked at your record of warrants in Michigan and sent
they
you
never
back?
what?
Like, so when you got arrested in California,
Yeah.
they
Sorry.
like did they not see the warrants from Michigan and like communicate that? Like, I'm confused on how if they have warrants in one state, you go somewhere else, and then they catch you, and they still are like, oh, don't worry about the stuff he did over there. Like,
Not yeah. So
that's over there, but we're just gonna let him.
That's a great question. Yeah. So I had been arrested. Well, I'd been arrested 20 times in my life, and probably 14 of those times were in California. And my warrants from Michigan never once showed up in California.
Well, I don't know how that happens, but I can say I saw something recently pertaining to that Wes Watson situation where even his felony arrests in Miami, they were going through whatever pretrial hearing and they go, oh, no priors. And everyone kind of looks around like, what do you mean? This guy's so proud to be a felon. Like, are you retarded? Of course he has priors. So it does somehow slip through the cracks more than you'd think.
So when I was in prison, the truth is I was hoping my warrants would show up because my mindset in California State Prison was that I'm already doing time. I might as well clear up my warrants while I'm here and get it all taken care of. And they would do a search and say, no, we don't show anything. So there's either two different systems, or I won't even say they're non-extraditable because they didn't even show up. I mean, they would do a full scan. I forgot what the name of the scan is there that they do the countrywide scan, and my Michigan warrants wouldn't show up. So
it happens more than you'd think
I'm sure.
Believe it or not, I think. And it's just probably a flaw in the legal system where that is very flawed. Obviously, like,
I'm sure if I had a murder charge or something that show up, or some serious freaking felony, like a violent crime or something.
Yeah.
They were all dope felony dope charges and stuff, and they wouldn't show up.
Good to know. No.
Yeah. So I get home from California, and my first day back, I'm sick as a dog, dude. Like not just dope sick. I lied to my brother. I said, yo, dude, if I'm going on this Greyhound home, I need you to get me some Vicodin. I ended up meeting Hector on La Brea and getting some heroin. And
Hector.
Hector was always there with the balloons, and did heroin the whole Greyhound back. And I remember not even feeling it. Like it was at the point where heroin didn't even work anymore. I was just trying not to be sick. Right. And not only that, I have a fever the whole way back on the Greyhound from a staph infection that I have. I have a fever from MRSA. So I get home and I see my doctor the first day back, and he puts me on the right medications to detox. He puts me on Suboxone and clonidine and, you know, blood pressure, some stuff to sleep, whatever. And I knew, man, that I was going to be on this stuff quickly, on and off. None of this years on freaking methadone garbage, any of that, on and off quickly. I'm done with this life. And so I was on those medications for like 3 to 4 weeks. And so that was my first, and then he gave me the right antibiotics for the staph infections too. So I'm fighting the infections. My second day back, dude, I didn't know much, but I knew in my heart that I should be at an AA meeting. So I went to an AA meeting, a Thursday night AA meeting that I knew about from years ago at Temple Israel, at Walnut Lake. And I walked in that meeting, dude. My head is down. I'm 27 years old then. And a guy walked up to me, man, this big black dude, and he could tell I was sick. And he didn't even ask me. He said, "I'm going to sponsor you." And I never had to ask for a sponsor. If I thought in my head, like, oh, I'll take my time, find a sponsor, this or that. He ended up just offering himself to me, man. And all of these years, I had been to AA meetings for years before that. From, you know, in prison and rehabs, they'd always say, you got to find a sponsor. Go to meetings, find a sponsor. Meetings are the answer for the disease, and meetings are not the answer. And I'd go to meetings and I stayed sick. And this guy walked up to me and he just offered himself to me and said, "I'm going to sponsor you." And he just turned out, just this how the God story worked. He just turned out to be a champion bodybuilder.
No shit.
Yeah. And he started Powerhouse Gym himself here in, without saying his name, here in Michigan. And he was the first person. It used to be a Powerhouse in Highland Park, used to be a martial arts studio. And him and two guys put the benches, weight benches in the back. He used to do security there at the martial arts studio. And he's 76 years old now. And that's how the first Powerhouse started. And he started working for the Dabishes. And he started the first Powerhouse Gym. And so he introduced me right away. He showed me the book, the Alcoholics Anonymous book. And he said, "Do you see where we're at right now?" And I said, "Yeah, I see where we're at." He said, "Where are we?" I said, "We're at AA." He said, "This is an AA." He goes, "This is an AA meeting. This is not AA." And he showed me the book. He said, "This is AA." He said, "AA is a book. It's a spiritual program, 12-step program written in this book. This is just a meeting. You just sit here and talk for an hour a day. This does not change who you are inside." And he took me through immediately the 12 steps out of the book as they were written. And he showed me how to sponsor people, that you never just let somebody pass you by, that you approach them and say, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna show you how I recovered." And so I went through the first steps. I knew in my heart that I conceded to my innermost self that I was a real addict and alcoholic. I looked deep within my heart and I admitted that that was me, because not everyone in AA is a real addict or alcoholic. That surprises people. A lot of people might be there because the courts, they got a DUI and the court forced him to go. That doesn't make you an alcoholic because you got a DUI. You have to know it deep down in your heart, you know, and something's different about the alcoholic or addict than a normal person. When I ingest drugs or alcohol, I have a two-part illness, the physical and the mental. And I have to have both of those things for me to qualify as an alcoholic. When I put drugs in my system, my body reacts to it as like an allergy, and I no longer have the power of choice to stop. It comes in the form of craving, and I am completely powerless over it. And when I don't have it, the mental obsession, I'm obsessing about it. I have the mental obsession. So he took me, man, and then I did the third step. And the third step is a prayer that we say. and it's called the third step prayer. And I said it, man, from my heart. You know, I wasn't debating God. I never had any relationship with God or spirituality. He said, "This is what you do," and I did it. I mean, I had just the towel thrown in. There was no arguing, no fighting. Oh, I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. None of that nonsense, dude. I'm not finagling my way to do it my way. I'd spent my whole life guiding myself, man. I was ready to let anything else guide me. And so I did the third step prayer. And the third step prayer is a contract we make with God that we're going to do the rest of the steps immediately. Dude, I said that third step prayer from my heart with my sponsor. 2 weeks after I got sober, I recovered from addiction. I haven't had a thought or feeling to drink or get high in 11 years. Not one.
11 years sober currently.
I just celebrated in
You just
January
celebrated.
26, 11 years sober. 2 weeks after that is when I said the prayer from here and made the contract with God to follow through with the rest of the 12 steps. God like lifted the obsession to drink and get high from me. I mean, I'm going to tell you, dude, I couldn't go 10 hours without putting a needle in my arm. For me to go 11 years without even a thought of it, no temptation, no craving, no thought, never. As bad as life has ever gotten in sobriety, there's never once been any thought, oh, I should get high. It's completely been removed from me. And that's the power of the 12 steps and the power of God. And I'm not talking about the power of sitting at some AA meeting for an hour. I'm talking about the deep spiritual work of being done for good and going through those steps out of the book immediately. Those are the promises that come with it. And so I did my inventory. I wrote down my resentments. And I came to learn that all of my problems in my life were of my own making. Every single thing that happened in my life, I had thought the whole world had wronged me before that, and that the cops were at fault that I got arrested, and everyone was at fault, and this girl screwed me, and this guy ripped me off, and every single problem I realized was my fault, was of my making in my life, and that was the only way I was good at, because the addiction has about this much to do with drugs. It's 99% about your thinking and the fear and the anger and the selfishness and the dishonesty. That's what I needed to treat. The drugs were already removed. I was done. This thing is what's crazy. And this is what I need to keep treating. And so I came to realize that my problems were of my own making, and that every resentment I had in my life, I had hundreds of them. I wrote a list of 100 pages of people I was angry at. I had a part in every single one of those things. Every single one without exception. I was able to look within myself and realize how I got the ball rolling for all the stuff that happened in my life. It was all me. And I'd spent the whole time in my life looking out at you. And never, ever once until then was I able to look within myself, because resentment blocks you from God. God's in here. Anger blocks me from looking at myself. And I'm only stuck at looking at how you wrong me. Victim mentality, right?
Yeah.
So I was able to look at myself, and then I was able to take it a step further and realize that anger is always backed by fear. I have no reason to be angry unless I'm terrified. And that goes for today too, because I still deal with anger and selfishness and dishonesty and resentment. Those things come up in my life. I still have to treat this thing constantly, but I've never had a thought or feeling to drink or get high. So now it's about spiritual growth. I realized that dishonesty, all those lies, all that dishonesty I had in my life, it was all backed by fear. We have no reason to lie unless we're scared of something. Without exception, I have no reason to lie in my life unless I'm terrified. Just like I have no reason to be angry. It's always backed by fear. So I was finally able to take a look at myself and see that fear shot through my life like a evil and corroded thread. It touched from second grade, when I used to think that everyone knew what was going on in school except me. From back then, from as far as I remember, from being in team sports being terrified, having no clue what's going on in the game because I'm not athletic enough or good enough, or everybody knows what's up but me. All the way through my life thinking, oh, I'm so tough. I went to prison. I lived on the street. All that stuff is because I was scared. I ran away from Michigan, terrified. Everything I did was because of fear. I ran on fear. And that's what the real addict's about, running on fear. And so I was finally able to look within, and I shared this list that I made. Then I had to list my fears. I had to list on paper in black and white, part of my inventory, part of my fourth step, my sex inventory, how I had mistreated women, how I had, you know, totally treated people like absolute trash, you know, spent my whole life trying to be Mr. Cool Guy. And so I listed all this on paper. I got it down, and I made a contract with God that I'm not going to act like that again. I'm not going to treat women like that again, you know. And then I was ready to make amends. You know, step 9. I had this list now of all these people I had harmed. I had made the list when I did the fourth step with all these resentments and my part. I had to list my part in every one of those resentments. And some of those were difficult, dude. I had to really pray. I was so blocked. It was impossible to see how I was resentful, how I had a part in it. Some guy left my mom when she had brain cancer. Totally ditched her, a guy who she was dating for 10 years. She got brain cancer. She passed away before I went to LA. He ditched her right when she got brain cancer. And I was resentful against him. And I thought to myself, I don't have a part in that. I didn't do anything wrong there. That was all him and her. I didn't have a part. And I realized I'm on this spiritual quest to find I'm not going to get past this until I look at what my part was. And I prayed, man, from the deepest place in my heart, God, please show me my part in this resentment. I'm having an impossible time seeing it. And I sit and listen, man, and I already had the answer. I wasn't there for my mom when she was sick. I was angry at this guy for doing the exact same thing as I did. And it was like an aha moment for me because I was so clearly able to see it that second. Wow, I'm going to have no problem finding my part in every one of these resentments. Look at that. All I got to do is listen. All I got to do is listen. And so I was able to see, even to this day, that every time I'm angry, it's because of me. It's me. It's not the other person, you know. And so I had to make amends. I had to make amends, man. And I sat down with my dad at the synagogue. I started with the list, and my sponsor helped me go through each person on how to properly make amends. I brought my dad to the synagogue and I sat him down. It was the first amend I made. And I said, Dad, for one reason or another, I never treated my disease of addiction or alcoholism. I said, as you now know, I'm treating it. And I bring you here today because it's a place where I could feel close to you and God. I said, I'm making amends. And I'm at the part of the program, not my program, the program, where I make amends. And I'm never going to treat you the way that I did. And these are my amends in words, but my real amends are in my actions. You know, when we make amends, it's in changing your behavior. And just so you know, I was only 3 months sober at the time when I did this. So I'm thinking, man, how's he going to believe me that I'm really genuine? But I didn't need to worry, man, because it was all over me. Anybody who knew me knew that I wasn't the same person already. You know, that's what the power of God could take you in such a short time and mold you into being such a different person like that. From 1 minute not being able to get that thought of heroin off your mind to the next day having it completely removed. It's an amazing thing. So, and my mom, who had passed away, I didn't know how to make amends with her. She has died. She didn't get to see me get sober. That's why I have a good sponsor, man. He had me write a letter, and we went to the cemetery, and I read her the letter. I burned the letter, and I poured the ashes on her grave. I was finally able to have peace in my life for the first time, dude, after all of these years. And then lastly, dude, well, not lastly, I made a ton of amends, handwritten letters. I mean, everything. I didn't just like hop on Facebook and start messaging people. It was
Just
very
going down the friends list. Sorry for
Yeah.
this in the 10th grade.
Yeah,
Sorry about
I said,
that.
sorry, I
Sorry.
screwed your girl, dude. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was very personal. Um, I had to make amends to the legal system, dude. I had to turn myself in. At 3 months sober, I went to Farmington Hills Court and turned myself in, and my lawyer was there, my sponsor was there, my family was there, and I went in front of the judge who I was going to do 2 years with, and the next day I had to go in front of the other court in Livingston County for felonies. And the Judge Brady said, I'm going to let you walk out of here today and turn yourself in to Livingston County. And he said, whatever they decide to do with you, I'm going to go with them. If they want to scratch the case and say, you're good, I'm going to go with it. If they want to send you to prison, I'll just go with their sentence, whatever they want to do. I walked out of there, man. And mind you, this was a judge. When I was in LA, I was so out of my mind that I hit his daughter up on Facebook and started talking about all this junk about her dad because I thought I was never coming back. I was high out of my mind. And he knew exactly who I was, man. And he let me walk out of his courtroom. I walked into Livingston County Jail, Livingston County Court the next day with my sponsor, my family, this therapist I was seeing. They took me right in, man, in handcuffs. And I ended up a week later, got sentenced, man. I spoke from the deepest place in my heart, man, to that judge. And I said to him, I'm here to make amends with the court. And, you know, the same way I made amends to my dad, I made amends to that judge from the heart. And he looked at me and he said, I would let you go today. But without order, there would be chaos. And I was ready to go to prison, man. And I was okay with that. He gave me 6 months, man. So, and I was sober and my family had my back and I went in there. It was the best time I've ever done. I sponsored like 10 addicts and alcoholics in jail, through the 12 steps, man. At like 4 months sober, I got in there to, you know, I got out in like 5 months. They let me out a little early or whatever. And it was the best. I was almost scared to leave jail because I was so busy with all this spiritual work and helping people. And this place with all these sick people is like this perfect place to practice spirituality. And these 12 steps, I was so fired up about it. And so I got out, man. And before that, even before those first 4 months, my brother was taking me to the gym, Powerhouse Novi and LA. And he knew that when I was detoxing off heroin, right when I got home, that I'd feel better, you know, going to work out. And he'd already doing physique shows and stuff like that. And so I didn't, you know, I would just do the workouts with him. And I loved it, man. And when I went to jail, I was doing workouts and, um, you know, just push-ups, burpees, all sorts of, you know, calisthenics, whatever you could do, water bags, stuff like that in jail. And when I got out, man, I went all in and I just, you know, threw my heart and soul into the bodybuilding life. And between my sponsor, who's a champ bodybuilder all over the world, and my brother, you know, I learned everything I, you know, knew then about health and fitness and how to train. And I loved it, man. I looked at it like chasing a buzz, you know, like I just love the high of, I've meal prepped for 11 years. I've never fallen off once. I've done it 11 years, every single weekend without missing once ever. I love it. And then when I've sponsored 500 probably addicts and alcoholics now, and I've spent 6 years speaking at the treatment center at Maple Grove on the first Saturday of every month. I would speak to at least 60 inpatients and tell my story like I am now. And I would offer to sponsor them, and a lot of them would call me, and I've been able to really be blessed with seeing a lot of them recover and help other people. And a lot of them haven't, most haven't. You know, most have not recovered. Most are still out there. I've had to bury a few sponsees, probably 4 now. And you know, I've known like 80 people who have died from the disease who didn't make it. You know, they, for whatever reason, they weren't ready to be done for good and willing to do whatever it takes. And it's sad, man. It's sad. So you know, when they shut down the gyms for COVID, they would no longer let me in the treatment center. And I spoke there for 6 years. And I was like, man, I'm missing this. You know, I'd given hundreds of open talks around Michigan and stuff. And my parents have gotten to see me speak in front of 300 people, which is like the best high ever. You know, having my parents see me give a talk like this in front of hundreds of people. And you know, my dad, my stepmom, my family. And when they shut down the gyms, I said, man, I still want a way to help addicts and alcoholics. And they wouldn't let me in the treatment center. They wouldn't let outside speakers in because everything was crazy for COVID. And so I started my garage gym, man, and that's how the YouTube channel started. I said, you know, I want to start the garage gym. I didn't want to stop training, so I started getting equipment from Facebook Marketplace, all sorts of stuff. It was hard to get equipment then, dude. Trust me. During COVID, it was no punk, dude, getting equipment. And you know, I'm just trying to grow, man. You know, I'm just trying to grow, and I want to do better. I fall short a lot. I gave up watching porn going on 5 years ago. I'm jerking off, swearing. I'm trying to really like take my life to another level and really just fulfill my purpose, you know. And as I said, dude, I fall short constantly, you know, because I do get in fear. I get angry or bicker with, you know, my fiance, or things come up in my life. But I know as long as I keep my head treated, man, like I'm not going to go back. You know, as long as I deal with things as they come in, which is the 10th step. And I know the 11th step, I'm praying, I'm meditating. I mean, the second I get out of bed, I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm throughout the day, I'm praying, I'm leaning on God. When my head gets crazy, immediately I have to go to God and pray to remove my fear or anger or selfishness or dishonesty. And then talk about it with someone immediately and make amends right away if I've harmed someone, because I always got to keep my slate clean and think about others I can help. And that's the 10th step, you know. And the 11th step is continuing to make this conscious contact with God. And then the 12th step is helping addicts and alcoholics, man, and doing rigorous work and taking them through the steps, which God just keeps putting people in my path, man. All through COVID, everything, God just brings people in the craziest ways. And the YouTube channel, I've been able to, a lot of people hit me up in the email and they are struggling, and I've been able to sponsor people all over the country. And I've been really blessed because when I'm guiding addicts and alcoholics, it's reinforcing, you know, spirituality within myself. And I'm able to talk about these steps and God and bodybuilding and all the stuff that holds dear to my heart. And you know, so I'm a pre-workout supplement. I'm a supplement reviewer now. I'm the biggest one on YouTube, and it's growing a lot. It's a small channel, but it's a small niche thing, supplement reviews. You know, so it's like, you know, I'm going on I have over 33,000 YouTube subscribers, and it's been a really nice uh, side income or whatever, you know, because people use my code to buy the supplements, and I get a percent, you know, from the discount code that they use for my affiliate. So it's been nice. And I can get on there, man, and make content about spirituality, addiction, nutrition, training, garage gym workouts, all the stuff I love, man. I can just make content about and connect with people right from my home. So it's really been the COVID lockdowns were a huge blessing for me, because I wouldn't have started the channel if it weren't for for that. So that's pretty much, man, what's brought me all this way, in a nutshell there.
It's so cool for me to like I get emotional talking to you sometimes because I've known you since we were kids, right? And so to now see the man you've become, bro, it's so amazing that like you're such an inspiration to me, so many other
Yeah.
people, but like not only did God save your life, bodybuilding saved your life. And that's where like Justin and I talk about this all the time on the podcast that some people from the outside looking in, if they just take a quick glance at any of our social media profiles, they're like meathead, gym bro, loser, whatever. But when they hear conversations like this and they're like, whoa, like this dude has some life experiences that not a lot of people will ever go through. And now that you've leveraged that to become the best version of yourself, but you literally like with your content, when he says, oh, I do supplement reviews, yeah, that's one thing he does. But I would say so much of the time is you're giving back trying to genuinely help people, whether it's with weight loss, whether it's with mental health, whether it's with spirituality. So, I mean, Ari, when I say there's a quote I heard, or maybe I made it up, but it's the right time to do the right thing is always right now. And when I hear that, it reminds me of you because that is now how I know you live your life every day.
I
So much to
appreciate.
the point you don't even use curse words. Like,
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of growing to do, man, and I'm glad I can, you know, I'm just glad I could be here talking about it because I do feel I have a purpose, to fulfill and be a light to the world and help specifically addicts and alcoholics, but anybody. And, when you say like bodybuilding saved my life, like to me, it's all God because without God, man, there is no bodybuilding for me because I don't have discipline. That comes from spirituality, like that comes from deep within, something bigger than me. Because without God, man, like I'm an undisciplined, unstructured, selfish addict, and um, so that it's all connected. Bodybuilding is a very spiritual practice. I mean, you got to think like people don't realize it, but living a life where you're very conscious of everything you consume and you're practicing a life of restriction, those are spiritual principles. And our society really wants us to mindlessly consume, whether it's porn, media, food, sex, bang as many women as you want, do this or that, jerk off 30 times a day, whatever it is, it takes us further from God. I mean, that stuff does not get us closer to our true self. And so bodybuilding's given me a really good practice, man, of reinforcing that spiritual life of being really, weighing your food to the gram and being conscious of the media you consume and how you spend your time and getting the proper sleep and taking care of your body. I don't just train. I mean, I take rest weeks, everything that needs to be done so I can really be optimal, dude. Like, I want to really be on top of my game, and it's a lot more to it, as both of you know, than just throwing some weights around. I mean,
yeah,
like from morning to night, it's everything,
yeah.
like every freaking thing that we do. It's not just one thing. It's like all pieces of the puzzle. You
Well, when people ask me sometimes like, "Oh, how are you so good at bodybuilding?" I guess for lack of better words, I'm an addict as well. I'm addicted now at this point. Like obviously I've had my issues in the past with drugs, alcohol, whatever, and just wasting the majority of my 20s just drinking and partying. And then one day by maybe the grace of God or just situations that happened in my life, I woke up. And but the reason I say I'm an addict would be is that I am
but
addicted now to bettering myself. And that is the best thing I could be addicted to. So it's like obviously I think in AA they talk about people, places and things and it's always so important to be conscious of who, what, and where you're surrounded by because those things do influence you. And so that's where like I'm grateful, obviously, to have friendships with both of you guys because when I say someone asked me earlier who I do the podcast with, Justin, and I was like, oh, I was like, it's my older brother, Justin. I was like, but literally, I was like, he's just a better version of me. I was like, he's a doctor. I won't ever be a doctor. He's a pro. I'm not a pro yet, but I was like, he's just a better version of me. And so like, I recognize how fortunate I am to have people like you guys both in my life because again, like when I'm going through a valley or I'm going through some hard times, I can call either of you guys at any point in time and you'll always pick up and always have my back. So it's like not only do I know God is with me, but I also have friends and family who always support me too, just like you did, Ari, when you were going through some of those really rough times and you needed your family to really just pull you out of it along with God.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely blessed to have my family. A supportive family goes a very, very long way. And now I keep an extremely tight circle, and I like it like that, man. I just want peace in my life, man. I don't want any craziness. I don't
Yeah.
hardly leave to do much. I don't like crowd. You know, people ask, "Are you going to the Arnold?" This, that. I don't want to be in crowds. I just want a peaceful. You know, coming from the life I come from, I just want a very predictable, low key, like nice existence. So,
Well,
yeah.
I think we're all very similar as bodybuilders. We get into hopefully healthy routines and habits where it's like kind of like you just said, I just really want to eat, sleep, train, repeat, hang out with my friends, my family, take care of my dog, and just build, the people around me, my own physique, my businesses, and all of that. So it's like, I do think that addict mentality, maybe it never truly leaves us. We just find better things to focus our time and energy on that improve the quality of our life and the people around us.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Justin, I can tell you're just like, damn, that was a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I've been quiet, just kind of absorbing everything and thinking about it, and kind of, I guess, reflecting too. I want to jump back real quick. I like, Ari, how you said that bodybuilding is more. It's more than just bodybuilding. It is a spiritual thing. It is a thing, the discipline, and it. You said something important. I think it is a lifestyle of restriction, and I instantly thought of like monks and priests because like a monk is kind of I don't know the different variations, but your stereotypical monk from an ignorant person. They don't do anything. They don't have sex. They don't drink. They're very stoic, like a life of restriction. And that's what we do as bodybuilders. And I was actually speaking to a patient of mine recently. So if you're listening, Tom, this is about our conversation. But we were talking about exactly what you said. Life is full of quick thrills and quick highs and adrenalines, and whether it's a literal high or a figurative high, life is full of choices where we can indulge in these things that give us momentary pleasure or momentary highs, but are ultimately bad for us. And that's in a sense that's the devil working. Drugs, alcohol, sex, porn, all these bad things. And we were talking about that, and I'm like, it's interesting because we always have all those distractions and temptations. But what's best for us is usually to avoid them or enjoy in moderation, depending on what the temptation is.
Right.
And like you said, bodybuilding is a life of restriction. Not that we don't have fun or enjoy it, but we refrain from a lot of things. And that goes back to being a spiritual type of thing as well, because from a spiritual standpoint, I and you guys and my friend that I was talking about that's a patient, we refrain from certain things for a spiritual reason as well as bodybuilding reasons. So I thought that was cool how you said that because that instantly made me kind of think of that conversation we had, and you kind of pieced in a couple things for me, realizing that bodybuilding is a spiritual thing as well as it's also a life discipline because some of the discipline I have in bodybuilding can carry over into those life things. As a
Sure.
bodybuilder, I don't eat or drink or do certain drugs and stuff. But as a guy or as a man or as someone who believes in God, I don't do other things as well that are temptations that might feel good in the moment, but are not good for me or good, a good thing to do. So I
Yeah.
thought that was cool how you said that. That just like
Yeah. I always say
in a way.
bodybuilding's the opposite of drugs because drugs you get high and then you pay for it later, but bodybuilding you gotta pay for it now and you're gonna earn that high. Like you
That's
Yeah.
know,
true. I like that. I like
you
that.
you get to you really get that high, but it's guilt free because you've earned it. You put the work in first, whereas drugs you're gonna get that immediate high, but pay for it later. You
That's
know.
perfect because in bodybuilding, like you do the workout and you pay for it and it hurts and it sucks. And afterwards you're like, that was good.
Yeah.
Or you're like, I want a cheat meal. I want to go eat this and that. And you don't. And then the next day you're like, I nailed
Yeah.
it. Like I got the fuck up.
Yeah, but your head, man, like at least for me, man, like I got to constantly because this thing right here will tell me how to hey man, do that workout the easier, softer way, or just to say you did it, or, our heads talk to us and say crazy things, don't put your heart and soul into that cardio session, or, man, you've eaten clean all week, Friday night comes around, you're hungry, man. You could have that cheat meal, you don't need to make it till Saturday, whatever it is. So I got to constantly watch for this monster, man, and like talk back to it.
Yeah, your brain's constantly saying like, eat the food, do the bad thing, do the drug, like skip the workout, and then
Yeah,
you have to somewhere find it and be like, no, that's not what I need to do. I need to do the hard thing, the painful thing, the thing
yeah,
I'm not going to enjoy now. That's going to be better for me later.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
I think
constant
that
battle.
Well, I think a lot of the way all of us are living right now with our main focus is helping people. Justin's a doctor, so he helps people with chiropractic needs all day long. He's also a coach, so he's helping people get their health and their physique right. Again, me as well. I'm helping people lose weight, get in shape for shows. Ari, you're changing lives from breaking bad habits, helping people get in shape, giving them supplement reviews, great information about training tips and things like that. And so like it's just so cool that like you become so passionate about something that you're genuinely interested in that energy starts to radiate to then make a substantial impact on other people. And that's where um um again, Justin and I talk about this all the time. If this video helps just one person, my job for the day is done. You know what I mean? Like we've done God's work by sharing your story and telling someone it does get better. There are ways to change. You can get help. Call Ari. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like I think sometimes a lot of people, whether it's addiction or even just going through difficult times, a lot of us, maybe it's ego, maybe it's pride, but we suffer in silence. And I think that when, for lack of better words, you just put all of that aside to have these real genuine conversations like you and I have had offline, we're having right now, it just is so impactful in the most positive way. And I fucking love, that's what I love the most about this is that, again, bodybuilding is so much more than just muscles.
Oh yeah. And going back to kind of you touched on it a little bit earlier, like it is way more than muscles. And I think we all, a lot of us at least, have a story that got us into bodybuilding that's far more than just wanting girls or wanting to look good or something. You kind of mentioned a bit of like an addictive personality. Um, I've been blessed and cursed. Addiction runs in my family. Most of it is alcoholism, but some of them are IV drug users and heroin's been used. I don't. I mean, other than there's two things. Obviously, God and watching my family members succumb to addiction, watching family members die, watching family members go from awesome, wonderful people to someone I didn't recognize, ultimately before they died. Even watching I'm gonna be quiet about it is someone who's extremely close to me, related to me, essentially my brother, go to somebody I barely recognize, um, allowed me to, I guess, choose or divert my addictive personality traits. Because I have addictive personality traits. I know that. I am kind of like an all or nothing kind of person. And somehow, like I said, by the grace of God and seeing the negative effects of these choices on people that are close to me, I've never had problems with alcohol or drugs somehow. I don't know how, because I do elicit some addictive personality traits. And oddly enough, I've drank and I have definitely enjoyed partying and drinking copious amounts. We've talked about, I went to Michigan State. I enjoyed my
Been there,
time,
done it. Yep.
and I somehow I partied like a kid, like a kid there, but never got in trouble. I never let it truly negatively affect my life, um, other than just being a drunk idiot, here and there. But I never got arrested. I never got MIPs or DUIs. I somehow avoided all that despite my family's history. And I think I've diverted, some of those tendencies. I'm not going to call myself an addict because I've never truly gave in or succumbed or had it truly affect my life, but I definitely have those personality traits and I see it. And I've always, we kind of talked about just a minute ago, like our brain says one thing and then you got to remember not to do it. There's plenty of times I've been like, I want to drink or I want to do this, and I was like, I don't need to though. Like, and I think about my family because I've witnessed addiction firsthand with lots of my family members, including my mother, um,
Yeah.
who's not a huge part of my life and wasn't for a very long time because of addiction and stuff like that. So I'm always, that part of my brain is like, oh, I want this, and then I'm like, no, like I've watched what it does, and I've been able to make that choice. And like I said, by the grace of God and the active choice to not follow in my family's footsteps, I've somehow avoided true addiction. And I think, like I said, some of those addictive personality traits I've channeled into bodybuilding and turned it into
Yeah.
a positive thing.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, well, when you love something so much, man, like maybe like how you love bodybuilding, like when you really have a passion, nothing's gonna get in the way of that. You know? And like that's why like when I first got sober, dude, like I was hitting that vape pen, not weed, but
just like an e-cig.
yeah, like nicotine or
Yeah.
whatever. Stopped smoking cigarettes, so I went to the vape. I got into bodybuilding and I was like, man, I love cardio and I don't want anything to get in the way of this, man. Like it was the easy decision to get rid of that because when you love something so much, nothing's going to get in the way of it. When you're like truly passionate about, what you're doing, like the YouTube channel or your next workout or whatever gives you that buzz, from the heart, like that's to me, as I said, like I'm an addict, so everything I think about is in terms of catching a buzz. And like to me, dude, like that hunger, that clean eating, getting ripped, pumping iron, it's all a high to me. I just love the high of the whole thing. Everything that I do is a different high. Swimming, this, that. So I've always been able to really look at it like just like it's all about just feeling good and being able to still get high even though I'm not doing drugs anymore.
Yeah, you've turned it into a positive high rather than a negative.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, they say, what is it? It's when your why is strong, your how becomes easy. And so Ari's purpose now is so just beyond evident and clear. But also, I think a lot of the actions all of us do, it's with purpose. It's like Justin, the quote we put on the shirt, do it with intent or don't do it at all. And I mean, I almost look at certain things where it's like, okay, if this doesn't have a purpose to it or a means to an end or move me closer towards my goals with my friends, my family, my businesses, my personal relationships, whatever, then what's the point of wasting time doing something if it's not going to have a purpose and a benefit in the future? And that might sound kind of weird to some people listening to this, but it's also like, if there's a goal and a way to get there from A to B, then why would you not put a plan together to do that? So it's going back to that quote where it's like proper preparation prevents poor performance. So in everything we do now, we're just preparing ourselves the best we can for life, for bodybuilding, and just to be better versions of ourselves. So I love Ari's story so much because I mean, where Ari is now, 11 years sober. He's got a beautiful fiance. They've got two beautiful daughters together. He's got two dogs. He's got a house. When I say from the outside looking in, Ari does have it all, but he didn't always have it all. And you know what? It took him a lot of hard work and a lot of self-work to fucking get there. And I'm so proud to call you a friend, bro. Like you even hopping on here just means so much to me because, like I said, your story's impacted me personally for as long as I've known you. And to see you, dude, I'm just so proud of you, man. It's so cool to call you a friend.
Thank you, man. Yeah, yeah, you've been crushing it, man. You're
I'm trying trying to get like you, man. We're you know what we're doing? We're doing the shit we're passionate about too, and we're having fun with it. Justin and I obviously talked about doing this podcast for the last 6 months, and we got back from North Americans and we said, all right, what are we waiting for? Let's figure it out and do it. And here we are now. And again, last week we had our buddy Taylor on. He's got a great story. Everyone that we know has a very unique experience and story. And so it's like, I think that's what life's all about, sharing your experiences to help somebody else, sharing your knowledge to help somebody else. And that's what we're all here to do in some capacity.
yeah, yeah. Well, I've seen you out there, man. You've been hitting those shows, man. You got that power flow through you, man, that a lot of people ask me through the years, are you going to compete? Are you going to compete? And
Yeah, I always ask you.
You always ask
one time.
I haven't been able to give up those cheat meals, man. I just haven't. I look forward to them, man. And you've been able to do it like several times, man. Just like I've done it one time, man. I did like
A mini cut. I remember for Florida, right?
It was 6 weeks, but it was a 6 week shred where I didn't do one cheat meal for 6 weeks. That's the most I've ever gone. And man, that was freaking, it was brutal, man. Like I
Oh,
know, I'm not going to say like I never been to the shows, so I'm not going to say I know what you do, but I train
well,
the same way I would for a photo shoot, like if I were
yeah.
competing. And it's free. What you do, man, is no punk, man.
I appreciate it. I mean, Justin and I talk about this a lot too. It's like, I don't know if I heard this somewhere or I just came to this thought process on my own, but when you're getting on stage as a dude in a thong, you're either going to look dumb or you're going to make someone else look dumb. So it's really bringing your best on that day. And it's kind of like I said with the Sam Sulek thing earlier. It was never about proving anybody wrong. It was always about proving himself right. And we all know that because I mean, with a lot of the valleys I've been going through lately, and even some of the accomplishments I'm now achieving, I can't even say anything other than I'm blessed to be here. But at the same time, I don't worry about proving anything to anybody else. I still have a lot to prove to myself, and that's why I grind so hard.
That's good, man. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's
We gotta Justin, we gotta talk Ari into one show because I'm telling you, I'm gonna send you, or you already got his Instagram earlier, but I mean, he's got such a great physique, and like I'm telling him, he throws on those board shorts, he will fuck some dudes up in men's
I
physique.
want to do classic, man.
You do classic? Even better, bro. I would
I
love
would
to
want.
see you in classic.
So you said you kind of talk about things as like highs or buzzes. The stage is a high, like that
That's
Highest
is
what my
high.
brother
an
said the other day.
adrenaline rush. And then you said you don't want to give up cheat meals. Well, give up cheat meals for a little bit. You want to talk about high when you first have some cookies or some shit food after a show? Like
Yeah.
it is like a euphoria.
Well,
Like
so Ari's he's kind of being like I don't want to say he's not telling you the whole story. His brother competes and is a very high level amateur as well. His brother coaches. So Ari's very familiar with what it takes behind the scenes. He
So
just
my
personally
brother
hasn't
said
done it himself.
he has a funny perspective. Not funny, but I was asking about it recently. He was saying, which makes sense. He's like, you know, after the show, you almost feel depressed because
Yeah.
he's saying he's worked so hard for this one goal, and now he knows like it's over and he's going to go back to eating again. And he felt so in control. There was like such a high with the prep, even though it was
Yeah.
suffering. There's such like a high with the prep, knowing you're in control and you have this thing and nothing's going to get in the way of it. And then
Mhm.
you almost feel like depressed after because it's like, oh, that's it. And now I'm back to allowing myself to cheat again or do this or that. And I understand that.
So Ari, tell Justin a little bit because you hinted at it earlier, and Ari's always had obviously everything works different for everybody, but Ari has a very specific way he trains, a very specific way he eats, and I always will talk to him where he'll be like, "Oh, I'm on my off week." I'm like, "Off week? What do you mean off week?" He's like, "Oh, this is my week off of training. I don't train at all once this week." I go, "What?" Like, so yeah, tell Justin a little bit about how you
Well,
run
I've
protocols
trained
because it works for you and you love it.
for, yeah. So for, again, this is something my sponsor told me to do, which I've done it for now 11 years. I train in quarters. I train for 11 weeks and I take the 12th off. I put it on the calendar so I don't talk myself out of it. And on that 12th week, it's 10 days. So I go from the Friday to the next, whatever, 10 days. And I don't do anything, man. I continue to eat clean. I eat clean through that week. So it's not like I just don't eat clean, but it's a detox week, man. I don't take a drop of caffeine. I take a stim break. I let my body heal up. I mean, you can only beat down muscle so much, and I don't do cardio. I meditate, I pray, I sauna. I have an infrared sauna here in my room.
Oh, let's go. That's nice. I
I
didn't even see that.
yeah, I just take a rest week, man, and it's just a good reset, and I come back motivated, feeling better. I think it helps me avoid injury, and it's only 10 days, dude, where I just let myself heal up, and I stay out of my head. It's not a big, a lot of people think, and you guys know this better than anyone. you're going to lose gains if you don't work out for a week, but that's crazy.
Yeah, no, you ain't losing.
You're
You
going to
mentally feel like you're losing it, but
you know, you make it. Your body wants the rest so bad when you've been training for 11 weeks, like blood, sweat, and tears, and pumping iron. And I do, like, my training's pretty high volume. I like doing a lot of sets, and I push myself, and I'm doing 10 workouts a week. I hit 5 strength training and 5 cardio sessions, and I split them up. So I'm doing 2 workouts a day. I like splitting my cardio, and so it's a lot, dude. So I want to make sure to take care of myself, and I just detox. And I totally not a drop of caffeine, and suffered through the withdrawal of caffeine withdrawal.
the worst.
And yeah, and then come back, and I feel motivated and ready. When people hit me up and they say, how do you get over a plateau? My first question always is, when's the last time you just took a week off? When's the last time you just
Sometimes a little rest.
when's the last time you just sat out and just let your body heal? Oh, I can't do that. I'll go crazy. That's more the reason you need to do it. The more your head goes crazy.
Let me
it
ask
works
you
for me.
with your diet. So when you're in one of these quarters, so say you're in, let's say week 1 of 11, obviously week 12 is your rest week. You typically do 1 cheat meal or refeed every single week throughout the way. Is that correct?
No, the way I've always done it, and it just, as I said, we all got to find whatever works for us so we don't fall off. The most important thing is not falling off, right? So,
Consistency.
so for me, I eat spot on clean Monday through Friday, and I clean Saturday and Sunday, but I allow myself to Saturday dinner and Sunday dinner. I eat whatever the heck I want. So 2 cheap.
But I was gonna say, for perspective, usually you're eating like a nice steak or sushi. Like, you still keep it
Whatever I want. I'll eat pizza. I'll eat pasta. I'll eat Cold Stone ice cream. I don't care. But it's I have a window. I can eat from 5:30 p.m. I want to really be done, dude, by like 8. Couple hours of whatever, and so I'm not eating till past midnight or whatever. So I'm not feeling like garbage. Because when you're eating that spot on, you're pretty sensitive to the sodium and the bloating. It kind of just feels like junk after a certain point. So I want to just get it in, do the damage, enjoy the time with the family and with the girls and whatever, have a good time, go to a nice restaurant, do whatever. And, spend Monday and Tuesday getting rid of the water retention and getting tight again for Wednesday. The vicious cycle.
You've got such a routine and system, though, where again, everyone's body's going to respond differently to training, diet, certain foods, rest periods, whatever. But like, again, when I say your protocols work so well for you, again, the proof is in the progress, and look at your physique. So it's like, clearly how you run your split is working. For me, I think mentally the hardest thing would be 1 full week off from training. Or like, Justin, I think, has 3 rest days in his split right now. And even that to me is like, wait, 3 days a week I'm not going to the gym, what would I do? Because like, even on a day for me when I'm not training myself, I mean, I have clients that I'm coaching out of a gym, so I almost spend 7 days a week in a gym. But also, when I say I love that, like, I love seeing people in person, I love networking, I love just that energy. So like, even on my rest day, I guess somehow, some way, I still find my way to a gym, but I may not be training.
I've never bought into like one way to train. Like, I really believe you're going to make gains with consistency with a lot of different ways of training, dude. Like I saw how Dorian would describe his training, like 4 days of like 45-minute workouts, just blood, sweat, and tears in that 45 minutes, and crush it. At least that's what he claimed he was doing or whatever. And there's other people who are in the gym, like Arnold would do like freaking 30 sets for biceps, and like whatever, dude. Like, I think there's a lot of different ways to make gains if you're consistent for years. I mean, building muscle takes years and years and years of consistency. It's not like a fly by night thing. So I think as long as you find what works for you, consistency is the most important. I mean, really, I really do.
Well, it's the 2 constants in anything. Everyone wants to know how much and how long, right? So how much does it cost and how long till I'm shredded, right? So it's like one of those things they don't realize, that it's not going to be a quick and easy transaction. Like, you go to the gas station, pay for your gas. Like you have to put in the work. And that's where it's like, why I think I love coaching so much is because again, I can give all of my clients, my lifestyle, my athletes, the best tools and resources, but it still comes down to them to put in the work. And that's where, kind of like Justin said, that high that you feel when you compete and you win, it really is undescribable, because that's the truth. That's why I still compete, because that, for me, that moment on stage when all of my hard work is recognized, I say it all the time, teammates, friends, family, coaches, sponsors, you name it. I have the support of everyone around me, but it's in that moment when the bright lights are shining on you and you're just looking at the judges. It was always you. And it feels so good to just, like I said, restrict yourself to get to that point where you built the best version of yourself. Obviously, we all keep improving with our physiques. And so it's one of those things, like, just the motto is get better today. That's it.
Yeah.
Ari, I got some, well, actually, Justin, you're a Michigan guy too. You'll laugh at this. So I have another refeed this week and I haven't had it yet. So I'm going to actually go get it after this. Low key, we have a spot out here. It's called Detroit Coney Grill, and the owner is from West Bloomfield.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's official. He knows. He's got a couple locations out here, and it's so cool because you go in there, and because there's only like 3 of them throughout the whole valley, it's all like Midwest Michigan people in there. So every time like you walk in, someone's like, "Oh, where are you from?" Like it's just cool nostalgia. So I think I'm gonna go get some Detroit Coney Grill after this, which is a nice way to end this evening.
Enjoy yourself. Treat yourself, man.
I know I just do it when I'm told to. That's it, but I do enjoy.
Good.
Ari, when's what do you got going on the rest of the night?
Nothing, man. I'm going to spend a little time here with the pups and my lady, and just really enjoy doing this, man.
Dude,
I forward to it, and I'll look to share it with my viewers, and yeah.
I'll send you a link. Like I'll post it on my channel, but I can send you the actual link too if you want to post the whole thing on your channel. I'm cool with that too. But I was gonna say, man, every time I come to Michigan,
I'll post the link to send it to your channel.
No, I appreciate it. What I was gonna tell you is, like, I mean, you already know, every time I come to Michigan, which it is far and few in between, but you're one of the few people I text every single time, and I'm like, hey, bro, let's get a lift in. So, Justin, I'm gonna say the same thing as, dude, we got to go to Michigan, me and you, and definitely on our to-do list is go to Ari's house and hit a workout in his garage gym, because I will say it is a sick fucking garage gym, and you've spent a lot of time making it like really, like, I mean, when I say it's your home gym, but it's also like your business, your content studio at this point too. Yeah. So like, I know you really take pride in like the piece of equipment you have, the way you take care of everything. And again, it's just a true testament to like, you love this shit. And I love seeing that. So cool.
Yeah. Training at home has been, it's so cool. I love it. You know, I go on vacation, I'll go to a public gym and I'll be like, there's a high with it, you know, cause there's all that equipment I'm not used to. And it is nice. And then I walk out of there and I'm like, all that dang equipment, man. I so rather be at home with pieces where I have the dogs with me and I'm bumping my music and can walk right in my, I don't know. There's just something about it. I love
It's a vibe. It's a vibe, and you can't replace that. And especially just being a couple of Midwest boys who we know all about just good, hard, honest days work. It ain't much, but it's honest work.
There's something too in the summer about having the garage door open. I'm getting sunshine while I'm pumping iron. It's just a great feeling. Yeah.
The day I was there with you last in Michigan, this would have probably been a year ago already, but I mean, it was like a light drizzle, a little humid. You had that nice Michigan, just like mist, and like, I don't know. It's just like, we had such a great workout. I think I had my camera with me, but we were just catching up that we didn't even we were like, fuck making content. Like, let's just work out and enjoy the workout. So yeah, always good to connect with you. And I mean, Justin and I have been talking about going to the Detroit Pro next month. I don't know if we're going to be able to make it, but if we do, we definitely all got to link up, because I always love to see you in person.
All right. That would be great, man. Heck yeah.
We'll get a little cheat meal too.
Anytime. Yeah.
Justin, you got anything else you want to add before we wrap up today? You want to ask them if steroids make you gay?
I mean, I'm not gay yet, so.
Dude, okay, wait. Because I said it, I sent Justin. All right, do you watch Fouad Abiad Bro Chat? I mean, obviously, this was very much inspired by him, but do you watch it at all?
No, never seen it.
Oh my God. Okay. Phenomenal content from both a bodybuilding standpoint, but also entertainment. And so I watched his latest episode the other day, and it literally, in the first minute, it is just the craziest conversation. But the topic was, I guess Greg Doucette was on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and maybe it was clipped out of context, but basically he was talking about how steroids make you gay. And so Fuad asked Ian, he's like, hey, Ian, you think steroids make you gay? And Ian's like, I can see that a little bit. Like, it's just like the funniest, most out of pocket
The
conversation.
dude from Hostile Subs,
Yeah. Fuad from Hostile, exactly.
who
I'll
used to
send you the
work with
link.
Sam
It's
Solik, right? He used to work with Solik, right?
who, yeah, that's Sam's old sponsor. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But so funny. Just I'll have to send you a link to it, and when you have some
I'll
time, watch the first 10 minutes. Just again, you'll crack up because it's clearly a joke, the conversation, but just again, hearing people's takes on it is really funny.
I'll check it out.
All right, I
I mean,
got
think about it. You know, since I started using, I see a lot of dudes in their underwear oiled up now, flexing their muscles. It's a little gay if you think about it, like objectively, kind of just look at things from like a fly on the wall perspective. It's a little gay what we do.
I'm not gonna deny that there is some gay elements to bodybuilding and especially competing. Like, dude, I'm at North Americans and I'm there with my homie. I'm like, hey, bro, you mind shaving my back? Like, out of context, if someone walks in the room, that looks pretty gay.
Yeah.
Some of the posing has been like part of the reason why I'm like, do I really want to do this? Like some of the, with physique and stuff. I'm like, all right, it's some of the posing is kind of, I don't know if cringe is the word, but it's like I feel very awkward. I'm always feel awkward. Like I've never felt comfortable dancing or anything like that. So like the posing to me, I've always felt like I would look super awkward doing it.
I had someone in the gym the other day asking me for one of their clients if I can help pose a bikini girl. And I was like, I mean, I kind of know the movements and I could kind of imitate the walk, but I go, as a straight man, I just don't have the swagger to throw my hips like that and walk as graceful as maybe I should but it was funny. So I'm like literally in the gym the other day, kind of showing her the walk and like doing the hand motions, and my boys are cracking up because like it looks so weird because I just am not flamboyant like that. So I'm like, man, I feel so gay right now. All right, wait, last one. When we're talking about gay shit, I'm gonna ask both you guys this, and I'll tell you what mine is. If you're listening to music in the gym while you're training, what is the gayest song on your playlist?
Oh, I had Justin Timberlake Mirrors on today.
I love Justin Timberlake though.
Yeah, that's probably for me. Yeah,
Justin, what's yours?
I think this redeems me. I listen to like heavy metal in the gym. Like,
yeah, me too.
I don't have any, like, honestly, it's either
Not
like
one gay song. No Katy Perry, nothing.
fuck, absolutely not. No.
No Katy Perry for me.
I would say, like, I mean, honestly, in the last, I don't know how many years, like, I will listen to like ghetto rap, but it's like Tupac, 50 Cent, like stuff from our childhood, not the stuff today.
Good rap.
Yeah,
Like ghetto rap, I'll like warm up with that the first exercise or two, and then when I'm like really locked in, then it's like death metal, like hardcore screaming stuff. Like, you know,
I made a playlist for my viewers. They've been asking me to make a playlist because I go live every Saturday and train, and so they're like, "You got to make a playlist." So I did. Almost 1,000 people have listened to it now. Playlist, so it's cool, yeah. But it's all like that music, you know, old M50, all that.
I just do hardcore stuff when I'm training. I will say it's been a long time, but like back when I was like playing hockey, we might throw on like some Sandstorm or something like that in the locker room.
Some Darude.
Yeah, something like we would throw some of that on maybe here and there, but like in the gym now, I don't have anything I'm embarrassed about. Like it's all hardcore stuff.
All right, so I have this one client, Monica, and we used to always joke when we were at the other gym I used to train out of. At like 7:45 at night, it would just hit like all female hip hop. So it was like Cardi B, Glorilla, whatever. And I hate female rap music. So
I just found out Glorilla is a girl like a week ago.
Yeah, literally. So anyways,
the name I didn't know it was a girl.
Yeah, Glorilla. But so anyways, so I was like, we were talking one day about how I hate the music in the gym, and it just like I can't vibe to female rap music. And she's like, we started talking about just like how like I have a playlist from one of my preps that sometimes I listen to because that takes me back to 2023, or I have the song that I posed to that I already picked out that I'm going to win my pro card to. I fucking have listened to it 1,000 times. I'll probably listen to it 1,000 more before I earn that shit. But somehow we started talking about gay songs, and I think the gayest one on any of my playlists is going to be Lone Star Amazed.
Look that up.
That song is gay as fuck, but it's like just good vocals, good rhythm. I don't know. Something about it's gay as fuck, but that's probably my gayest song on any playlist.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys. Lone
Yeah, I
Star
don't even know what
Amazed.
it is.
All right, on that
I will
note,
say, I will say that to bring me down a notch, if I'm not in the gym, I listen to a lot of sad country. Like if you saw my playlist, you would be like, is something okay? Like you
I
all
already knew
right?
that though.
Yeah. But I don't know, I just like it. But yeah, in the gym it's business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for my workouts, it just depends on the mood. And like, dude, this is so funny. Actually, I think this was during my last prep, and shout out Austin SB. I think he posted some sick like posing reel, and he used like the bye 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 NSYNC from Deadpool, and I was like, yo, I'm stealing that for sure. Like, but it was just funny because I knew it was getting like good traction, and obviously Austin's a good dude. But yeah, it was just funny because I was like, man, this song's so gay.
Yeah. That dance is so funny in that movie though.
I just watched Deadpool Wolverine last week when I was in Vegas, and the movie's so good.
That was good, yeah.
All right,
Well,
fellas.
yeah.
I don't
When are
think
you
I got
gonna
anything
post?
else.
When are you gonna post this?
So usually I think we recorded for probably like almost an hour and a half, 2 hours. It usually takes like an hour and a half or 2 hours to render down. And then I just pop the intro on there. I don't make any cuts to it because normally we don't have to. Conversation's good. If we say anything stupid, we leave it in. And yeah, so I should honestly have it up by tomorrow. And
Oh,
then
okay.
yeah, a lot of the feedback I've been getting is so positive. I mean, people just saying like, Justin, I've told you some of this, but people are like, with the bodybuilding stuff, we're not going too in depth where it's so technical, you're going to lose kind of the general population. But then obviously we're talking about just so many different things. But today's episode really meant so much to me, Ari, because again, as someone who's known your story, Justin now hearing it for the first time, a lot of our people hearing it for the first time, I already know this episode's going to change a lot of people's lives. And to be honest, that is what you're here to do at this point. That is your goal in life, is to help other people. And so, dude,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you so much for setting aside the time to do this. We'll definitely bring you back on in the future. And yeah, man, like I said, I'm blessed to know you, and you're an inspiration to me and so many others. So thank you, bro.
You too, man. Nice to meet you, Justin.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you too. And I appreciate you sharing your story with us. And again, like Scott said, it's something that is impactful and deep. And I know it hit me and had a positive impact on me. And got me thinking about a lot of stuff. So I know the viewers, the listeners, whoever, whatever people listen to this, it'll have a positive impact on them. So I appreciate you coming on here and sharing that. And
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations, 11 years. It's awesome that you are still here to even talk about this. When I've talked about addiction with other people before, I've always, and hopefully this isn't rude, but I've like, addicts are one of two things. They're either still addicts or they're dead. Like you're in
Yeah.
treatment, or you're still using, or you're dead.
Rare. This is a rare person right here.
Is so small, and you touched on that. The amount of people that recover and get out of that is so small. So it's a blessing from God that you're here, and I'm glad that I got to meet you and listen to your story, and I'm glad you're still here. You made it out.
Thanks, man. I look forward to seeing where your podcast goes, man. It'll be great.
Hey, you know what? What do they say? All right, blessed to be a blessing, and that's you. I swear, blessed to be a blessing.
Appreciate you, fellas, man. Well, God bless both of you, man, and thanks again.
I appreciate you guys. We'll run this back soon, and for all our listeners, love you guys. Peace.